Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we're importing an interesting conversation with Shannon from Brew Export UK. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. We have Shannon with us from Beer Export UK. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
From Brew Export UK and a web shop actually, but Brew Export I actually started 7 years ago.
Amazing.
And I do really appreciate you guys reaching out. This is my first podcast in the UK, so I'm really excited to be chatting with the two of you.
Oh,
yay! Congratulations!
Early exclusive. I love
exciting
it.
milestone.
So we're chatting to you today because one of our listeners actually asked if we could reach out and speak to you, and we were like, yes, of course we can. We love to speak to anybody in the industry, and particularly women, so that we can raise their voices. So how did your business start? What made you start Brew Export and Brew Export UK?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I actually started Brew Export here in the U.S. 7 years ago when I was in college at Michigan State University. And you can't drink until you're 21 years old here in the U.S. And I started Brew Export when I was 22, so I could legally buy beer in bulk a year after I could legally start drinking, which is fun. But it actually all started on a school project. So I was studying international relations, and then marketing was my other degree. So my capstone course before I graduated with both degrees was an international marketing class, and I was probably way too excited about it. And the professor on the first day says we're going to do a big kind of class project on exporting one product to one market. And people were picking peanut butter and water bottles, with filters in them. And I basically decided that I was going to do craft beer.
Nice.
Founders craft beer. If you've heard of All Day IPA and KDS, Founders beer to Singapore. And I got really into the class project and got talking, to the guys at Founders and lots of other kind of craft breweries. And Founders is a good one to study because they send their beer, at the time, I think it was to 12 different countries. So they were a great one to study, but Founders is massive. Yeah. And this was before they were bought out, and they were still big then, but there were tons of really really craft breweries that I talked to that were smaller, and they were getting, interest from, different, customers or importers or retailers in other countries. And a lot of them were just ignoring the international sales, anything with the word export. One actually had a spam filter, and it went straight to spam. They didn't even read the emails, which I thought was really crazy. And I mean, I understand it, but a lot of them were just scared of the international, just due to the perceived difficulty of exporting alcohol. Between the compliance, the cold chain logistics, getting paid, relabeling. There's so many different things that go into it, especially, in lots of different countries, where they were just saying no. So, as I was graduating from college, I basically decided that I was going to start a company to help all the craft breweries export their beer and share, some of the best U.S. beer that we have to offer with people around the world. And that was 7 years ago. And I still own, 100% of the company. And, we've built it to this point working with about over 350 craft breweries to 30 different countries over the last 7 years. So it's definitely been a wild ride. And now we have Brew Export UK, which is taking things a step further.
That's amazing. I think that sounds like such an achievement.
Thank you. So Brew Export UK kind of came about, I worked with gosh, we've been sending beer to the UK since 2017.
Oh, wow.
So it's been, quite a long time. And I supplied Brewdog with a lot of craft beer. You know, I no longer work with them, but they were one of my largest customers.
Okay.
And then at one point, you know, I think in 2020, I decided to hire Dan as our operations director. And he's based in Birmingham. So I had to form a company in the UK to even hire him.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, we added our import license, you know, just because we had the company, so we might as well be able to legally import beer.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in January, I just kept seeing, you know, U.S. beer obviously, tasting great, but just becoming less popular due to, you know, different retailers pricing it, you know, at really exorbitant prices. You know, a lot of times double what a lot of UK craft beers are. And I didn't love that. So I decided to start Brew Export UK, which is essentially a web shop of USA craft beer that that we own the entire supply chain. So the beer goes from the brewery to the consumer. So we own, you know, we are the exporter, the importer, the distributor, and the retailer. You know, so there's not a ton of margin being added by lots of different parties being involved. Right. You know, we're the only one, which allows us to offer, you know, really unbeatable prices on super highly rated, sought after American craft beers. And that's where we're at now.
Wow. The logistics of this are kind of blowing my mind right now, of all the things that you've got to think about. So I know the like the way that the beer industry works for distribution in the US is very different from what we have over here in the UK. Like, did that put any barriers in the way? Was it like, did you find any differences then by trying to bring beer over to the UK?
Yeah, so what we do in the UK would be completely illegal in the US. Like right. Literally, like not even feasible, just straight illegal and impossible.
Wow.
So in the US, there's the 3-tier system.
Yeah.
And the first tier is either the importer or the manufacturer, so like the brewery. Yeah. The second tier is a distributor, and then the third tier is a retailer. Yeah. And it has to go through those 3 tiers. But in the UK, we are all 3 tiers.
Yeah.
So it, you know, that definitely changes things. And in the US, as far as licensing goes, you know, I'm a licensed wholesaler on the federal and the state level. So we're able to just, you know, buy directly from the craft breweries at wholesale prices, and then ship to ourselves in the UK.
Okay.
You know, Brew Export UK as the importer.
Wow.
It's interesting because I know you were saying like, yeah, you saw the prices that people were putting for markups over here and not loving it, and I think a lot of people aren't necessarily loving it, to be fair. And I think the thing that's really frustrating as well is a lot of the times when you see some people selling them not necessarily on websites that have been imported, you know, like no one's imported them in here. A lot of times you can see them come through people's suitcases and less than legal ways, and then there's also a markup on top of it. And I think that's quite frustrating because it's like you've gone on a trip there, you've taken stuff back, now you're selling it, but you didn't necessarily even have to pay the fees to get it in the country.
I mean, you always got to make sure the government gets their cut, or else you get in trouble.
Yeah.
So that's both in the US and the UK. You know, we you know, they got to get their cut. So we make sure to pay all, you know, the excise duties and the taxes and the VAT and whatnot. Yeah. But I guess what I've seen and this is not all US beer in the UK, obviously, but some of what I've seen is been, you know, people in the US will buy it from the brewery, you know, in a tap room for retail prices. So what the brewery sells it at retail at,
right?
You know, which is high. And then they have the cost of, shipping it over to the UK, you know, and they probably add a margin, and these are just random people, which that's entirely illegal. You can't, you know, sell craft beer without a license in the US. And then you have the people in the UK selling it who are adding margin. So at that point, you're paying like, you know, $20, which is probably like 18, 15 or so pounds.
That's pretty close.
And that's like crazy. I mean, we've got some amazing beers in the US, but it is just like not right to be paying that much per can. Like it I don't even feel good about that, you know.
No, but it's the thing.
So
is like you can.
I wanted to do something to change that, and that's what we're doing.
It's that thing if you can justify it being like on the higher end of pricing when you know that it's come in like the right way, but it's not come in the right way. It's just even more frustrating to be paying, like you said, like 18 pounds for a can, and you're just like, and you don't know how long it's like, how it's been treated, how it's been handled, you know, any of that stuff. It's really risky, and at that price
is like those beers are probably just getting shipped in a box internationally, and who knows how long they took to like clear customs with FedEx or whoever, whereas ours is, you know, consolidated into the US in a cold warehouse, and then it's put into a cold container at, you know, we usually set it around 4 degrees Celsius, and then it goes into a cold warehouse, and then it goes in a box to you for a short time, and then it goes into your fridge. So, you know, that beer is just taken care of versus the ones, some of the other ones are, you know, who knows what happened to them.
I mean, and I would say like your pricing, Joe and I have both bought from you.
We've both put in orders.
We both put in orders because I knew I wanted the Fuck Cancer US collaboration ones anyways, and then you were offering like sort of one of the glasses with it as well, and it was like what, 29 pounds or something like that, and I was like, that, I mean, you know, £5 shipping on top of that. I was like, that is so much cheaper than what I expected it to be. And I was like, it's a no-brainer. You get 4 beers in a glass, like absolutely. I mean, like I said, I can't speak for Joe, just for myself, but I thought that was a massive bargain. I was expecting, when I clicked that link, I was like, how much is this going to be? Let me have a look. And it was not even close to what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be so much more.
Yeah, it's definitely value for money. And especially if we know that you're like, it's in cold chain, like it's all like, it's totally worth it. Even at really good prices, like it's phenomenal. I think what you're providing right now.
Thank you, and thanks for buying, you guys. I appreciate your support on our first March boxes here. But yeah, usually like, you know, similar beer, like we're usually, you know, from like $5 to, I think the most expensive beer we've sold so far in a can, not bottle, is 9 pounds. So 5 to 9 pounds, and I think that 9 pounder, that was like a 10% smoothie sour, 10% imperial stout. So that was a really big beer, you know. But usually, you know, like a double IPA from the US sometimes is like 10, 11, 12 pounds. So we're usually around 5, 650, 725, depending, you know, if it's double dry hopped or things like that. And yeah, we're just trying to do the right thing, you know, not, you know, we're not trying to make, you know, a ton of money. We're just trying to run a business and try to be reasonable and spread the love of craft beer. And it seems to be working. I think people are appreciating the pricing and the transparency and things like that.
I definitely think so. Like, and as well, like, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, beer needs to be cheap. Like, I'm definitely an advocate for like, beer is made
paying the right price.
Yeah, beers are made with quality ingredients, particularly craft beers. Like, they're an artisan product. Like, there's a lot that's gone into them. You should be paying, you know, they are a premium product. But you're right, there's like, you know, sometimes like some of the prices I've seen for Pliny the Elder are shocking. Absolutely shocking. And you know that came over in somebody's suitcase. Like, that didn't come over in cold chain. But yeah, I think what you're doing is amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It I mean, I love the UK. Like, all of you guys over there, like, I've been to London, and when we used to work with Brewdog, obviously I was up there in Aberdeen and Glasgow and Edinburgh, and St. Andrews and some of the. I haven't been to all of the UK. I definitely want to get back over there here really soon. But I'm excited. I mean, you guys are just a fun, country. Like your country as a group of people are a lot of fun, and I love working with you all.
We're a mixed bag, especially if you're based in Birmingham. That's very different from the two places that Tori and I are from.
I was gonna say,
where are you guys from?
So I'm from down in Kent in the south, and then Tori's a little bit further up around Reading way. So
closer to London. I'm
closer we're further down the bottom.
But no, it's very different. Like you could go to one place and then drive like an hour somewhere else, and it's just like completely different scene. So it's worth noting. But I think it is, to be fair, I mean, I'm originally from the US, and it is very much the same thing in the US though. I think you can drive a few hours to another state and it can be so different from like the state that you've come from. I mean, I don't know if you'd agree with that, Shannon, but
100%. And like even like within, like I live in Michigan, which is up by Canada, the one that kind of looks like like a glove with a lot of lakes around it.
That's how I always remembered it in school when we had to like learn
like
the states. It's the one that looks like a glove.
Oh my god. See, I always say the glove thing and people are like, what the hell is she talking about? But yeah, okay, it's cool that you know that. But yeah, so I'm from up in Michigan, and even just driving across the state or up north is within Michigan, you get a lot of different people, and it's pretty crazy. But I mean, just to drive from one end of Michigan all the way up to the Upper Peninsula, I mean, that's like a 12 or 13 hour drive, and that's just within one state. So yeah, just the sheer size of the U.S. and the diversity we have is insane. And I guess to pull it back into beer, it definitely reflects in our beer. Different regions and whatnot obviously have a lot of different beer tastes. You've got obviously the West Coast IPAs, and then you've got more of the New England style IPAs, and then I'm always an advocate for the Midwest IPA, which if you guys have ever had an opportunity to try Two Hearted from Bell's.
Oh yes.
Or I guess maybe you could throw in like All Day IPA from Founders or something along those lines. But really, everyone says the best example is Two Hearted from Bell's, which I know isn't exported. But that is like, I guess the Midwest IPA is balanced. It's not too one way or the other. It's just a balanced IPA, kind of right down the middle.
Nice. In terms of geography, then, do you have like a favorite state for beers, or do you have a favorite brewery? I guess would be my question.
Oh my gosh, a favorite state. That is like so hard. I guess being from the north, I always like going down to Florida and trying, and drinking beer because it's warm. And I spend half the year in like cold darkness here in Michigan. Yeah. So Florida, the beer tastes better when you're warm. But yeah, Florida has like Cycle Brewing and Three Sons and a lot of other great breweries. And then I would say like Virginia weirdly has a lot of really great beer.
It does, doesn't it?
We work with the Vale and Aslan and Adroit Theory. So those ones are really good. And then I'm weirdly a huge fan of like non-alcoholic beers. So like NA beers, which are becoming a real thing because I love the taste of beer, but I'm just really busy, so I can't like be hungover or be drunk. So I'm a huge proponent of NA beers. And you know what? Wisconsin is another good state. Wisconsin has a lot of great beer. They're actually the biggest, I think, consumer like per capita is the state of Wisconsin. So, and they're way up north, like they're just across the Lake Michigan. So the big lake, they're just across the lake from me. But yeah, they make some damn good beer too. And then, the classics like California and Colorado and, but aside from those, I would say, I don't know if I have a favorite brewery though. That's a good one.
Is it just, I was gonna say, is it
It's a
just like
hard
too
question.
difficult to narrow it down to one? Because I feel like I would struggle to narrow it down to one, to be fair.
Yeah,
I guess we could twist it and we could say, what's the brewery or the beer that got you into craft beer?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so this is how it went. I had just turned 21 and was in college, so now I could like, legally like hang out in a liquor store and like, look at the craft beer section and this and that. And but in college I still like didn't have any money, so I was a big like Guinness drinker.
Okay.
Which is like kind of lower ABV.
Yep.
And was thick, so I would drink it slowly, which in college was nice. When everyone was just like wasted all the time, I could kind of sip on my Guinness slowly. And I went into a craft beer bar that I had never obviously been to before. In East Lansing, in where I went to college, and I ordered a Guinness, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't have Guinness, but we have Founders oatmeal stout on nitro."
Okay,
and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll give that a try."
Yeah.
So similar to Guinness, and I tasted that beer and was just like, "Holy shit, this is amazing." It literally, like, I had one of those moments. I took I had never taken a picture of beer, this and that. I took a picture of this mug of beer and was like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted. It was like Guinness, but on steroids and so much better.
Yeah.
And that was from Founders, and I never looked back after that. It was all downhill or uphill or however you
whichever way you want to look at
it. bit of column A, bit of column B, depending on the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was Guinness for me though.
That's a good one.
Kind of led me in the direction.
Yeah, to be fair, I go to Guinness when I turn to Guinness when I go into a pub or a bar or something that doesn't have craft beer options.
Yeah.
Like your options are like, oh, you can have like a Foster's or a Carling or anything like that, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take Guinness, and I'm not mad about it. Like, it's not a begrudgingly like, oh, I guess I'll have Guinness. It's like, no, actually sometimes I'm just in the mood for a Guinness.
Yeah, sometimes you just want a Guinness. That's my go-to in a pub if they haven't got something interesting. Although I did once go to a hen night and order a Guinness, and they were like, oh, the Guinness is off, but we've got this one which is exactly the same, and it wasn't. It was Marston's oyster stout.
Oh.
And I was like, it's not the same, but it's better, so I will take it.
Aw, well, that works.
Yeah.
Would you be able to walk us through, I guess, how your website works? So obviously Joe and I have used it, but for anyone that's not used it yet, what's the process like? Is it just go on, click what you want, order it? Or I know that you've got more of like a box system. Could you walk us through it?
Yeah, so it is different. It's different than what a lot of people are doing, but people seem to be understanding it, which is good. So how it works is we pick up the beer in the US, and around that same time as we're picking up, we launch pre-orders for the beer.
Okay.
So each Monday and Thursday, we release a pre-order for one brewery. So today, for example, was Hot Butcher for the World. And we released 4 beers from them. And there's an opportunity to pre-order and, basically add those beers to your April box.
Yep.
And each week you kind of get a new lineup of beer, and you can choose to either add those beers to your box or not add those beers to your box. So that's how it works. And then, during those pre-orders, the beer is, shipping through the US, getting loaded in a container, going across the ocean, clearing customs in the UK. So then when the pre-orders are done, usually the beer is landed in the UK, the container gets unloaded, and then your box of all the beers that you just picked out over the last, month or so get loaded up, and they get shipped to your door, and then you get to drink them all.
The best part.
Yeah.
And the shipping is a little confusing, and like I said, our website, this is kind of phase 1 of the website.
Okay.
It's like I am the IT department, so it's not super like fancy or anything. You know, and it's still, we don't have any, you know, $1 million investors. It's just me. So basically the shipping though works, you know, so at the end of the month, I merge everyone's orders together for each of their boxes.
Okay.
And then if you're over 80 pounds, then your box will ship for free. And then if you're under 80 pounds, it's just $5, or I'm sorry, 5 pounds flat to ship, you know, no matter if you have 1 can that you ordered or if you had, you know, 10 cans that you ordered.
That's a good deal for
and
shipping.
then you get a little invoice for the $5, and then you're set to go, and your box will ship as soon as it's ready.
Amazing.
And how long from the point of which, like roughly on average, like how long is the expectation that it takes to get from, you know, you picking it up to it being imported into the country and sent out, not necessarily to somebody's door, but to when it actually arrives in the UK and is picked up by your person on this side of the pond?
So I would say the whole process from the brewery to your door is usually, you know, this is our schedule is like 45 days. Okay. So 45 days or less. So usually it's like, I would say around like 3 weeks from when it picks up to then get into the UK. And then obviously it's going to take a little time. Like tomorrow morning, we just cleared customs on the March container yesterday, and then it gets delivered to our warehouse tomorrow at 9 a.m. And then obviously it takes time to unpack all those beers and organize them, and then so next week people will start you know, they'll start packing each of the March boxes that people put together, and then it gets shipped right out. So you know, some people I think were worried about like the IPAs, you know, how fresh they would be.
Right.
But, you know, all of our IPAs are, you know, usually packaged within 45 days of you drinking them, which the breweries are really happy with.
Yeah.
And, you know, you guys know the biggest things that hurt a beer are, you know, light, temperature, or time.
Yeah.
And we really, you know, because we're keeping those beers cold through that whole 45 days, you know, they're still in really, really good shape by the time they get to your door.
Yeah.
So that, you know, I would say if it was 45 days old and kept warm, like that's not so good.
Yeah, no, that's definitely going to have an impact on flavor.
Yeah, kept cold at a stable temperature in a dark container, you know, in a dark can, the beer is definitely tasting great. And like, gosh, sometimes we've even seen breweries like their beer at like the 3 week to 4 week mark.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those hoppy ones, they come out tasting hot, you know, spicy, like a little too raw,
a little bit green.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of how our timelines work. And then obviously all the big barrel aged imperial stouts and stouts that we're sending, you know, those aren't too terrible. You know, those can go on for years. And then the smoothie sours, most of the ones that we work with are pasteurized and or use different ingredients that make them super shelf stable.
Yeah.
So again, you know, time isn't a huge factor on those, but with the IPAs, we usually look around 45 days, kept cold. And then, but we're going to, you know, as we get more efficient and better, we're going to keep trying to close that gap as best we can, you know?
Amazing.
And in terms of staff, is it sort of like how many people do you actually have in terms of staff? Is it just you and someone over here in the UK, or do you have people sort of based all over?
So there's the 3 of us, and
wow.
Brew Export has been in business for 7 years. So like we have clients, you know, in Singapore and Canada and, you know, all over Europe and then like Iceland and Ireland and Mexico. And, you know, so we have like our normal business that, you know, Grace, Dan and I are running on a day-to-day basis. And then obviously in January, we kind of launched this web shop thing. And just, you know, we were already shipping beer to the UK.
Okay.
You know, through Brewdog or some other importers and web shops and things like that. So we kind of have time allocated for the UK, but we just took it to the next level. And I would say it's all been pretty normal, except Dan definitely had to pull a lot more information. And then I just usually stay up until like really late at night, you know, working on the website and social media and like uploading all the information and getting like photos edited. And so it's definitely been a labor of love to this point with just like kind of the three of us. But it's going well. So this is good.
It's crazy. It all started as well from like a uni
school project.
That's crazy.
Love that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like here in the US, I've spoke at a lot of you know, colleges and university classes, and the professors always love having me in because they're like, you know, look what you can do if you like, you know, put some effort into your class project. If they like use me as their little shining example.
Amazing.
But yeah, no, I was like vice president of the Entrepreneurship Association, and I had done internships with the with the Food Export Association and the Michigan Department of Agriculture's International Marketing Program and C.H. Robinson. So I had done these internships in college that kind of like led up to me, you know, knowing how to export products and whatnot. But still, like, I mean, over the last 7 years, it's been a lot of just like figure it out on the fly. Like that's been my MO since the beginning for sure. But yeah, it all started at school.
How do you pick the breweries that you import from? Are they do people make requests on what breweries you use, or are they ones that you just really like?
Yeah, so it goes like a lot of different ways. Like sometimes breweries reach out to us. Sometimes we reach out to breweries. Sometimes customers will like connect us to breweries. You know, sometimes it'll just be like a message on social media. Like we've hooked up with brewery, and then sometimes like we provide all the beer, obviously for like Brewdog's AGM back in the day. And then like McKellar, MDCC, we provide all the USA beer for. And then like Billy's Beer Festival in Belgium. You know, so we work with like a lot of big beer festivals too to do all the beers for the festival. So then we get hooked up with breweries in that way too. So and like you know, we export to 30 countries, worked with 350 different breweries, and like some of those are like, you know, really consistent distribution into Europe. Others are like, you know, subscription boxes into Canada. Some are just like super limited hype drops for a tap takeover. Like, you know, there's like a total range of like what we've kind of done over the last 7 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you found that COVID stopped you from doing what you wanted to do at all?
Oh boy. So obviously, like, well, we provided like a lot of beer for Brewdog prior to COVID, and then obviously Brewdog has not had some good press, so we don't really work with them anymore.
I didn't want to ask if that's what happened or if it was something else. I was not going to ask that question.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a combination of COVID, and then now this stuff has just like you know, I think, you know, if they can take some different, we won't get into all that. I think you guys know.
No, exactly.
But anyway,
totally get it.
So where was I going with all of this? COVID. So like it's been a roller coaster. So like when COVID first happened, like everyone was buying beer online. So like in Europe, you know, all the keg sales that we had dropped off, but it was just like supplemented by an increase in can and bottle sales. So it kind of, you know, balanced itself. But then when, you know, like when all the governments kind of all around the world have done this back and forth, like open, close, open, close, open, close, you know, the bars have been like, well, we don't want to buy the beer because we don't know if we're going to open. And then like the web shops are like, well, the bars might open, so we don't want to buy a lot of beer. You know what I mean? So it's been like kind of a total roller coaster. And then some countries like South Korea, for example, have like, we have totally stopped shipping to that, you know, to South Korea for now. And like Australia, like the volumes have gone way down. So it definitely has been a roller coaster. But like I also, you know, I hired two people during COVID. So like you know, we've grown enough and things to keep the business growing. So it's definitely made things more, and then obviously the logistics. I mean, you guys have heard all over the news kind of the logistical, or maybe it's not as big a news over there, but like the ports here in the US.
No, it was very much here.
Okay.
Shipping. It was shipping problems where things were either not shipping full stop because like you said, the ports, people were getting ill, there wasn't the staff or whatever else, or things were shipping but it had to be quarantined. Boxes and ships had to be quarantined for like a set amount of time. I don't know if that's something that you've had to deal with specifically in all of that. Has that been what you meant by the impacts of the shipping?
So it's been like a combination of all of that. Like we used to do a lot of air freight to different countries around the world when it made sense. You know, if we had some like super fresh high-end beers, like we would fly them. But you know, when all the commercial flights kind of stopped, the price of air freight just went through the roof. You know, it just, I mean, I'm talking like 4 or 5 times the price that you would pay. So that just became kind of not even feasible in a lot of cases. And then, the container shipping, we've got some really great partners and have like really fine-tuned things. So we haven't been hugely impacted for a lot of our European and whatnot shipments, but other ones like to Australia and to some of these other countries, like the delays have just been crazy. And like the allocation of containers has just been so, you know, one-sided, you know, and especially because we're doing reefer containers, those are even like harder to come by. So it's definitely had its challenges, but we've handled it. And Grace is our logistics queen, and she's a rock star. So she's been doing great too, kind of. And then like now we've got all the gas prices going through the roof. So that definitely worries me, because the US is huge, so we have to consolidate all this beer to one point. So just bringing it, you know, from one spot in the US to another that's the only thing I'm worried we might have to, you know, just add a couple cents to our prices, because we are so slim, you know what I mean? We don't leave ourselves much room for these things, where if these prices keep going up, like, I mean, it's crazy here in the US. So, but we'll take it as it comes. We'll sort that out.
I mean, you still need to make it viable for you as a business, and you've got to do like what, you know, it's great to be more affordable, but if you can't function, if you can't keep your business going because it's too low, like I don't think anybody would fault you for that. It's they'd rather have the beer and pay slightly more for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've tried to be like really transparent with people, you know, through our social media, and like, you know, where we're at in the process, kind of what's happening, this, that, and the other. So if we have to do any price changes due to gasoline prices, we'll just be transparent about it.
I think people respect the transparency. That's how you build up those relationships, is like people, like I know I definitely respect breweries and companies that are transparent about it, even if I don't necessarily love the outcome of what that means to me. And, you know, like you said, pricing or anything else like that, I respect and have that trust with someone that's going to be honest with me. And that's who I want to support, with someone that's going to be honest about it. So that's I think it's a really important thing. So well done for feeling like that's important to you to do as a business, because not everybody does that.
Yeah, I think no, I totally appreciate that you like that view. I gosh, in a way, I think it's almost easier just to be honest. You know what I mean? Like trying to act like you're something you're not, or trying to, you know, act perfect all the time is just like, it's hard. Like we're all just human, you know what I mean? And beer is like a finicky product, you know, like it sometimes we'll just have like beers from breweries and something, they'll take a really long time to ferment for whatever reason. So they'll miss a ship, what I mean? We have to roll that beer or, like shit happens. And I think people understand that when you just explain it and be honest with them,
Yeah, definitely.
I really enjoy your little videos actually, because I think that really it puts a face to the business. Like people buy from people. So it's really like, this is us, this is what we're doing. I think they're a brilliant idea having those little videos there for people to see what's going on.
Thank you. It's a little scary because I mean, we're like, the first container is obviously landing and they're gonna box everything up and everything's like going as planned, but it's definitely a little scary because if something, but from my understanding, like your guys' shipping from a business to a household is totally different over there. Like here in the US, like FedEx and UPS, like they will like just throw boxes.
No, it's definitely like that here.
It depends on who you get.
and a lot of them are.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like a lot of these companies, it's not even like the company is the overarching like body of it, but all the drivers are like individual contractors. So if you like one company for me, because my driver for one company might be really, really good. Another one, I might be like, the person that delivers to my area kicks it like it's a soccer ball. And I'm like, literally like, you did not need to punt that up my drive. You could have just placed it down on the ground. That's all right. So I think we very much feel that as well. So don't worry.
Dan was saying he thought it was like a little bit better over there, but that's my biggest fear is just like that stuff's gonna get damaged. You know what I mean? I just we're working with a company that does a lot of online beer fulfillment. You know what I mean? So they have experience already in packing, thousands of boxes full of beer. So they know what they're doing. And I'm pretty confident in them, but that's the last thing for me is just like, okay, I just need the beer to, once it's in the box and pray that there's not damage. And then obviously if anyone does suffer damage, like we're going to do the right thing and offer a credit or, replacements are kind of tough because like, we can't just like make more and you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But, if it doesn't come there,
credit or a replacement of a similar beer, obviously we'll do the right thing, but that's the hard part is just those delivery drivers that can't control them. So
that bit's out of your hands.
So obviously you import stuff into the UK, from the US, but do you ever consider exporting things from the UK back to the US? Is there even a market for that?
Yes. So I'm like so happy that you asked that because I almost forgot. And I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to.
Well,
spoilers.
So I added an import license because it's a separate license in the US. So I added an import license like 2 years ago. And we brought beer in from the Netherlands and Estonia. And now, like literally right now, we're working on importing Vault City.
From
the UK. So so I'm like crazy excited because Dan has sent me some like Vault City sours before, and they're doing a really killer job up there. So we're bringing those in some limited quantities for some online shops here in the UK. In the US. And and then like we're actually gonna work on this cool thing with a company called Tavor, where for the 4th of July, we're gonna do a US versus UK kind of showdown.
Oh wow.
I love that.
We're like pitting, 3 UK breweries, like a sour, a stout, and an IPA against 3 US breweries, a sour, stout, and IPA. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
That's so cool. I'm definitely in on that because
I want to be on that. I want to be in on that.
The thing is like obviously over in the UK we don't celebrate 4th of July, but like as an American over here, I like it because it's an excuse for a barbecue and beer. So like my husband's British, but he'll still be like, we can have a barbecue and we can do this. And I try to find the most like American sounding beers I can find. Like I got one called Stars and Stripes from Northern Monk because I was like, that's close and it's peanut butter and jelly. This is great. So if you can get actual beer versus beer, I'm definitely into that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we didn't think about like sending it back to the UK, but you're right. We should do it on both sides. So
there you go. There's an idea for you. Do
both ways.
We'll totally have to work on that. And then what was I going to say? Yeah. So we're doing that, and eventually, I also want to like really try to cultivate some cool community for Brew Export, and we've already got like a really cool Facebook group, and like people seem to be really receptive and like excited to talk and things like that. So I think we're going to do some like online tastings with our group where sometimes I think the brewer will be involved and he'll taste through beers with us, depending on the brewery. And then I think in other times we'll just all kind of get together on a Zoom meeting and chit chat and talk beer for an hour or so. I think that would be fun. And then we're going to do some Brew Export booths at, I think, Manchester and London and Edinburgh Beer Festival.
Amazing.
So yeah, you guys will have to keep an eye out for us there. We're going to be pouring some beers and having some beers for sale through our booth there.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we came on to recording, you were telling us that you'd gone to pick up some mead. So we believe they're branching out into mead. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Schramm's Mead is number 3 highest rated brewery or meadery on Untapped. Like, you know how they have the top 50 list or whatever. Like, they're number 3, and they've been holding number 3 for years now. And they are like 20 minutes from my house.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like good buds with them. So we're sending mead your guys' way, and it's like, it's not just mead, it's like the best mead. So we'll have that available on our shop to order, to pre-order for the April box, which should be pretty cool. So yeah, we're definitely sending mead your way, not just beer. I like all good craft products.
I didn't even realize like there was much of a mead scene in the US, to be honest. And then I think you had done either a post about it or something along those lines, and posted them, and I was like, I'm gonna go check them out. And it looks really like, it took me a minute to realize that they were in the US, because I was just like, I didn't realize the US had a mead scene, and this looked like something like a really high-end mead as well that I'd be used to finding over here. So that was, I'm definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, there's like a serious mead scene here. Like and actually, so Schramm's Mead is named after Ken Schramm, who's the owner. And he like has written books, and he helped to found kind of like the different, I can't remember the name of the mead competitions and like the mead kind of trade association. So Ken is like a leader in the mead biz. And I just got chit chatting with him. He helped me load up. I have like a big minivan that I got when I was 25. I was like the happiest 25-year-old ever to buy a minivan. And I load it. It's like seriously filled. I'm looking at it right now. It's filled with a bunch of Dragon's Milk and Speciation and Schramm. So this isn't normally how we do it. Like normally we pick up, but like the stuff that's in Michigan, I kind of do these like fun, mini mixed pallets of like stuff that's local to me. Put them in the minivan, and then stack them up together to go be consolidated. But
nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
That sounds like a fun little road trip.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
All right. Well, what are your plans for the future for Brew Export?
So like definitely like world domination is on the continuing that path. But really, continuing what we're doing, but having like hubs around the world. And like obviously the UK is kind of the first rendition of that. So right now we kind of have phase 1 is the web shop, and then phase 2, I think we'll get a better website built out, and maybe an app that makes it easier to kind of work our process and whatnot.
Nice. Yeah.
And then eventually I'd love to like get an actual like a warehouse that we own in the UK.
Okay.
So we can kind of handle all that stuff, and then have like a little tap room there where we pour like kind of super exclusive beers that we import, that we send for ourselves, that like pretty much no one else would have.
Yeah.
Not like a huge place, but just kind of a tap room where people can taste it. And like I said, Dan's in Birmingham, so I think it would probably be in Birmingham. And I think Birmingham's like kind of a pretty underserved like craft market in the UK. There's not like a ton of breweries there, so if we can kind of elevate the scene and be close to Glass House and some of those breweries, I think that would be a nice little fit for us. So yeah, that's kind of the plans in the UK. And then obviously if we can have like a European version of that, and then an Asia version, that's I'm looking really big picture here, but
amazing.
That's the direction I'm heading in.
Absolutely love that.
I love it.
I think it would be fun. I know Dan would definitely like, his background is like being a GM at some high-end craft beer bars. So he has great experience in that. I would trust him wholly to absolutely kill it. So I think we'll head in that direction and kind of see how it all how it all plays out.
Amazing.
Like
Onward and upward then. I think that was all of our questions, and we're conscious that we're basically running out of time, so now's your chance to kind of plug anything you want: social medias, website, events, anything you want to plug. Feel free to plug it now.
For sure. That flew by. That was
I know it really did.
I would say my plugs are obviously definitely on Instagram. Check out Brew Export UK, and then online it's brewexport.co.uk. And check us out. Start a April box. We still have the Vale available, Hot Butcher available, and then we've got next week is Bearded Iris and Energy City. And I already, as you guys kind of alluded to, we've got some shrams headed your guys' way. So give us a follow, add us, the group on Facebook. We'd love to chit chat with you, and the bigger we can grow, the more epic beer we can bring in, and start, I want to reach out and talk, like people see Trillium in here, or Treehouse, and those beers are gray market. Well, if we can get a good base, then I'm happy to go talk to Treehouse and explain our model and how it's different, and maybe we can get you some I don't know, what's the opposite of gray market, like white market, like legitimate market. Treehouse.
Like get the proper hype over here.
That's the one everyone wants: Trillium and Treehouse, and it's
oh yeah. No, those, I mean, that's the crazy part. Like I can't even get those beers in Michigan.
Right.
I'm from Boston, and you can barely get those outside the brewery in Boston. So
yeah, exactly. So you understand.
Yeah.
It's definitely tough, but I'm willing to try it.
Yes.
Cool.
All of this.
So very cool.
Thank you so
again,
much
guys.
for giving your time.
Hugely appreciate you having me on, and keep up the good work, educating people on the ins and outs of craft beer and the more technical side of things. I love it, and I think that's so important.
Thank you. We will.
Thank you
That's our mission. Thank you so much. That was a super interesting conversation.
It was really interesting, like hearing about the import and process from the US, and it's
and like the fact that it was an idea she had for a college project.
And
now it's this massive thing.
That is, I think, the thing that got me most, because like I feel like if that doesn't sort of give you the guidance of like follow your dreams, or like if you want it, like I don't subscribe to like all the time hard fast rule, if you want it, work hard and you get it, because sometimes you just don't get what you want. But I just find it was really interesting that she just was like, I'll do this as a project, I'm interested in this, and then the fact that she just worked really hard to get it to where it is, and they're still only like a 3-person operation, but where they're shipping to, like their reach is so wide. And and I have to say, the second most shocking thing is the fact they are managing to keep their price points so reasonable. Because I didn't say when we were recording, but I mean, there's a lot of times that, you know, she was saying for like a dipper they could pay, you know, they could charge, you know, £7 for it or something, just around that price point,
which is comparable to,
but that's comparable
UK
to beers that you're getting
prices.
Some of them are £7-8 so
without an import charge and extra stuff like that on it. That's comparable to your prices over here.
I thought, just, you know, value for money, it's not really any argument there, is there?
No, it's cold chain.
And it's cold chain. Like, that's the thing, is like, if it wasn't cold chain, at least that would be your argument. This is like, no, it's ethical. It's, you know, all the way from start to finish.
It's inspiring. I that's not the things I was expecting to hear about tonight. I was really pleased.
And it's overall really interesting as well. Like, just seeing kind of the difference between even just the shipping out within the US versus the shipping to the UK, and how that works, really. So well, fingers crossed, because I really hope that she gets all the things and more of what she's for the future. And I think she definitely comes across as a person that will work hard to make
she's got the
that
drive
happen. So I think that's brilliant, and it was lovely meeting her. So hopefully someday she can come back over here to a festival or something, and we can have a pint.
That'd be amazing. And if you would like to buy some American beers that are in tip-top condition, you'll find the link to the website in the show notes, and their Instagram handle will be on there as well. Do go and give them a look.
We bought them, and that wasn't like anything of like we had to. We were like, I was like, I want those. Cancer US beers.
And I chucked some more Burley Oak in there because I really like Burley Oak.
The Brewing Project glass sold it for me. I was like, that's the coolest looking glass.
Got a Burley Oak glass because I'm a Burley Oak fangirl. Love it. Right, so Tori, if people want to talk to you about US beers, where can they get hold of you?
Yeah, cool. If you want to talk to me about US beers, I'm very much game for that. So you can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism. And Joe, if people want to talk to you about badass women starting their own beer business, where can they get in contact with you?
Come and talk to me about that. I can tell you all about that. You can come and talk to me. I am A Woman's Brew on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. That is basically the podcast one now, so talk to us about the podcast there as well. Or you can come to my beer school, Love Beer Learning, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok and Pinterest. We are doing all about the beers, how to brew it, how to drink it, what you should be drinking, what styles you can try, and all of that fun stuff. We also have a website for that, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk, which has a fabulous blog. And we also have an email address, which is lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Email us there with any ideas for the podcast and anybody you would like us to talk to, because that's how we did this one today. Someone messaged us, told us who they wanted to talk to. We got hold of Shannon, and here we are.
I'd never spoken to her before. Nope. Hadn't even necessarily been in the same circle as her or anything like that. Someone emailed, and we made it happen. And it was a really good conversation.
Wes emailed. Wes emailed us and went, "You need to speak to Shannon." And I went, "Let me go look at that." Yes, I do, and I'm really glad that we did. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you. She was very, very sweet. Like, she was such a nice person. So.
Yeah, so we can make your podcast dreams come true.
We try anyways. We might fail, but at least we try.
Right, on that note, let's go finish these beers.
I'm gonna go finish my water.
You got water? Cheers.